Part 1: The Birth of a Legend. Thousands of years ago, before the first stones of the Great Pyramid of Giza were laid, before the earliest Sumerian scripts were carved into clay, a different civilization may have existed, one that flourished in glory and then vanished without a trace. A city gleaming with culture and power, where rivers cut through concentric rings of land and sea, where land and ocean blended into a living force. That city was named Atlantis. From Plato's mind to the greatest tale of all time. In his two famous dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, Plato spoke of a city once grand, destroyed in a single night by divine wrath for its arrogance. Many believe this was merely an allegorical lesson in morality. But a closer look reveals a series of curiously specific details too precise to be pure fiction. Plato claimed the story did not originate with him. It came from Solon, a respected statesman and poet of Athens, who lived around 630 BC and was a distant ancestor of Plato. During a 10-year journey to Egypt, Solon conversed with priests at the temple of Sais. There, he was told of a distant and ancient city, Atlantis, that flourished and was destroyed 9,000 years before Solon's time. This places the destruction of Atlantis at roughly 11,600 years ago, precisely at the end of the Younger Dryas period, at time of global climate upheaval. Atlantis, the city of circles. This land was the birthplace of Atlas, the first son of the sea god Poseidon, and a mortal woman named Plato. Legend has it, Plato lived alone after her parents died, near a mountain far to the west. Poseidon, god of the seas, fell in love with her. To protect her from the world, he surrounded her home with rings of land and water, and built a magnificent palace at its heart. Their love gave birth to Atlantis, and Atlas, their firstborn, became king. His name would be immortalized not only in the city, but also in the vast Atlantic Ocean. A city of unmatched prosperity. The structure of Atlantis was extraordinary, but its prosperity was even more stunning. The city had everything a civilization could dream of: fertile lands, temperate climate, geothermal springs of hot and cold water. Ideal ports for trade and, notably, a large population of elephants, a curious detail more typical of Africa than Greece. Atlantis was built from red, white, and black stone, and its people used a legendary metal known as orichalcum, said to be second only to gold in value. Poseidon's temple was adorned with gold and silver, roofed with ivory. Canals connected the rings of land, and vast seaways allowed ships to flow in and out, bringing boundless wealth. The fall from grace. But like all civilizations that grow to powerful, Atlantis became corrupt. What was once a people in harmony with nature turned greedy and warlike, losing the divine favor that had once guided them. And so, Zeus the king of the gods decreed their end. In one night of storms and earthquakes, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea, vanishing forever. All that remained were whispers in the sand, stories passed down, and to dialogues written by Plato. Back to reality, clues that align too well. For millennia, Atlantis remained legend until a strange geological formation in the Sahara Desert raised eyebrows. Known as the Eye of the Sahara or the Richat Structure, it resembles a fingerprint of the gods when viewed from space. Geological surveys found ancient salt deposits, hot and cold water sources, and evidence of rivers that once flowed through the region, proving the area was once lush, not a desert. Indeed, studies show the Sahara was once a green savanna filled with rain and lakes perfect for supporting life. A hypothesis: Atlantis was real. If Atlantis truly existed at Richat, its tragic fate could coincide with a real event: the end of the Younger Dryas. As the Earth warmed, glaciers melted rapidly, causing sea levels to rise. Massive floods and mega tsunamis swept across the continents. A city built in a low-lying, coastal region with river access such as Richat could easily be buried beneath layers of mud and water, just as Plato described. The way to Atlantis is now impassable, Plato wrote, choked with mud and impossible to sail through. Atlantis myth or forgotten history. Was Atlantis a parable, or the memory of a civilization long gone? As archaeological sites like Göbekli Tepe dated to over 12,000 years old emerge, historians are rethinking everything. Maybe civilization didn't begin with Egypt or Mesopotamia but long before, in an age we have yet to rediscover. Coming up in Part 2, we'll explore the geological and archaeological links between Richat and global flood myths, delve into satellite evidence, and examine whether Atlantis was truly real and what may have caused its catastrophic end. Part 2: Secrets Buried in Sand, the Science and the Puzzle of Atlantis. As sunlight pierces through the dust of the Sahara Desert, a mysterious land emerges, barren, silent, seemingly incapable of sustaining life beyond sand and wind. But beneath that very sand may lie the ruins of a once great civilization, Atlantis. And if this is true, then that place might be none other than the Richat Structure, the Eye of the Sahara. What Plato wrote more than 2,000 years ago now seems to resonate eerily with the discoveries made by modern geologists and archaeologists. The Eye of the Sahara, the blueprint to perfect, to ignore. Richat is a massive geological formation, over 40 kilometers in diameter, with concentric rings of elevated and depressed terrain. Exactly like Plato's description of Atlantis, 2 rings of land, 3 rings of water, surrounding a central island. This structure has long puzzled scientists. Initially believed to be an impact crater, that theory was abandoned due to the lack of meteorite traces. The next theory proposed it was a result of erosion, but its symmetrical perfection remains inexplicable. Why is there a massive, almost perfect circular formation in the middle of a desert? Why does it lie just south of the Atlas Mountains, an area Plato explicitly referenced? Is this coincidence or evidence? The Great Flood, from fairy tale to global disaster. Plato wrote that Atlantis was destroyed by a great flood and violent earthquakes in a single day and night. But what could wipe out an entire city so swiftly? The answer may lie in a real event, the end of the Younger Dryas, around 11,600 years ago. When this ice age ended, glaciers in the northern hemisphere melted rapidly, causing sea levels to rise dramatically. Many scientists believe this triggered megatsunamis and global floods capable of obliterating coastal cities, including Atlantis. Clues of catastrophe are found in the Sahara. One of the most shocking pieces of evidence is the existence of long ripple patterns in the Sahara, resembling beach wave marks formed by enormous tidal forces. Moreover, fossils of marine animals dating back 14,000 years have been discovered in the central Sahara, thousands of kilometers from any ocean. could sea creatures end up there, unless a massive wave once swept across the desert? Could that be the flood that buried Atlantis? It's entirely possible. Not submerged, but buried. A detail often overlooked from Plato's text, he never said Atlantis sank to the bottom of the sea. Instead, he wrote, that land became covered in thick mud and water, making it impossible for ships to reach it. When we look at Richat, a sunken area surrounded by layers of sand and salt, the hypothesis becomes eerily plausible. A civilization older than Egypt. If Atlantis existed and was destroyed 11,600 years ago, this would overturn the mainstream timeline that credits Egypt or Mesopotamia as the first civilizations around 3000 to 5000 BC. But recent archaeological finds like Göbekli Tepe, a massive temple complex over 12,000 years old in Turkey, prove that humans were building complex structures far earlier than previously thought. Additionally, the Sphinx in Giza shows signs of erosion from rainfall, something the region hasn't experienced in over 6,000 years. Indicating that it might predate ancient Egyptian civilization entirely. Atlantis, the distorted memory or hidden truth. Another theory suggests Atlantis was not one specific city, but a symbolic memory of multiple lost civilizations wiped out by ancient global disasters. A collective echo passed down through generations and cultures. In this view, Plato wasn't inventing a myth, but recalling fragmented truths from a prehistoric golden age lost to time and nature. Conclusion to Part 2: When myth starts to look like history. Richat, a silent formation in the heart of the Sahara, may be a coincidence. But it might also be the final clue to a civilization that once changed the world and was then erased from it. But as we dig deeper, more data from geology, climate science, mythology, and archaeology seem to converge on one point: a legendary city lost at the exact time, place, and under the exact conditions that science now says were possible.